Garry versus Belal Muhammad. Guys, if you missed this, Garry really is a great fighter. But he's an exceptional fighter. When you have the exceptional fighters, they will do something. And that something is they will make other exceptional fighters look basic. And Belal Muhammad he never found his rhythm to get going. And he had such a big heart and he was trying. I felt for him because he was pressing forward. I felt for him because he was cutting him off. Talking about Belal right now. I felt for him because Belal was throwing that jab, just trying to find a range. That jab didn't have a lot on it, but he was planning to step through and put some heat. He just needed a little bit of an opening. And Garry did a very good job of always being the one that was moving. And we can discuss this till the end of time. But a fight is like a dance in that only one person can lead at a time. Both guys don't have their offense going. Both guys aren't defensively. Both guys aren't controlling underhooks. Both guys aren't controlling the fence. Both guys aren't on top. Both guys aren't in guard at the same time. So, as simple as it might sound, the best way to win a race is to get out front and stay there. And this is just what Garry does time and time again, and he was able to do it with Belal Muhammad. So, never planned to take Belal down. And this was a big story of the fight. And when I read about the fight post facto, I didn't read enough about this. Never planned to take Belal down, never wanted to be on top, never with idea some ground and pound or he's going to pass his guard. But unlike most guys that would go out, and unlike most guys that would go out worried that they're going to get taken down, it's almost as though they manifested upon themselves. They're so worried about getting taken down that eventually they do. The best way to not get taken down is to try to take the other guy down. It's along with the best way to train. The best way to train for wrestling defense is to go train wrestling offense. You keep getting taken down with double legs. Coach, what should I do? Coach tells you, and you got to sprawl, and you got to put pressure on the head, and then you square the hips, and then you poke on the knees. Or another coach will bring you in and have you shoot nothing but double legs. And there's just something conceptually to the idea. It's as simple as that. There's something conceptually to the idea. And this is what Garry did so well. And he didn't go too far with it. On a scale of 1 to 10, he kept getting to like a 5, a 6, maybe even a 7. Maybe change the position, hand around what we call seatbelt, push Belal into the fence, break away, start over again, get that same spot. Right, he'd be feinting effort, but every time he did it, Belal had to respond. Every time he did it, Belal had to react. And it was just one of the things that Garry did, one of the many things that Garry did that kept the opponent, Belal, responding the entire fight as opposed to taking over the fight. Now, once we get done tickling Garry's balls about how great he is, what a great job that he did, is he next? That's largely all we set out to find out. I mean, largely, we flew those two guys from different parts of the world to Qatar, stuck it on television, 9 a.m. Pacific time, to find out if Garry is next. Well, before we get to that, who's currently got the spot? Now, this is another one where I've read 5 headlines and I've gotten 5 different opinions. One that I had to speak to with Daniel Cormier 20 minutes ago today had to do with Morales. That Morales is next. I said, looking around. What? Garry was in competition for a number 1 contendership with Morales. I did not know that. Now, I won't play dumb to who Morales is. And I won't play dumb that I know he's won 9 fights, and I won't play dumb that he's won 19. I just don't know if that name is big enough. I mean, if you're telling me that, let's go look at Garry and Belal. If you're telling me that Garry versus Belal can only be a number 1 contendership for Garry, because Belal just isn't big enough. He's been there, he's done, his name's just not big enough. If you're telling me that, that's where I have a hard time that you're bringing in Morales, who is awesome, but who, when Daniel brought him up earlier today, he had to have the director tell him in his earpiece that his name is Morales. That was 25 minutes ago today. And as I sit here before you right now, I have to keep calling him Morales because I don't know his first name or his nickname. It's hard for me to believe that that guy, whoever that guy might be, and no matter how great he might be, 25 minutes ago, Daniel Cormier didn't know his last name, and right here before you now, I don't know his first. I don't know that he can get a world title fight. And the idea that it's Garry versus Morales, very tactical by somebody, because I thought Kamaru Usman was the guy. I wasn't seeing it for Garry or Morales. And another article that I read ties it into Rakhmonov. Well, Rakhmonov can't, he can't be out for a year and come back and walk in right into a title fight. Now, that statement was actually made by Garry himself, and it's important that Garry really bangs that drum because Garry is the last guy that Rakhmonov beat. So, since we can't do anything about that outcome, and since we're not going to rematch them, we need to create a new clause or a rule, which is you cannot return after 12 months and walk into a title fight. That solves a lot of problems if you're Ian Garry. Like, this is very good PR. I'm seeing some very good dancing and maneuvering here. I just still haven't heard the contest between the guy that I think it should be, which is Kamaru Usman. So how do we get there? How do we bump Kamaru Usman out of the way? And before you finish that thought, are you sure you want to? Now, I know there's something to be said for parity, and I know there's something to be said for youth. But that same argument can be made for Kamaru in an opposite direction, which is, yes, it's supply and demand. There's a big demand, and there's only so much supply of Kamaru Usman still left. Are we sure we want to use those bullets in non-title fights when he qualifies for a title fight? I just think it's interesting. I don't know the answers, by the way, guys. I love what Garry did. Garry just doesn't seem to be in a rush to me. Now, should he be punished because he's not in a rush? No. But in this industry, he likely will be. I mean, if I was to juxtapose that against what Justin Gaethje's doing right now, which is to say, give me the world title or I'm out of here. Like, Garry is doing the opposite of that. Should he be precluded from having something that he perhaps deserves for that? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just not sure how we're overlooking Kamaru Usman. And when you close your eyes and you try to fantasize a matchup, I get that there's not a huge fantasy out there anywhere if one half of the cage is occupied by Islam Makhachev, but you do still have a question. Can this athlete stop the takedown? Is this athlete going to be big enough and strong enough? Is this athlete athletic enough to deal with Islam? And I got a lot of questions left on Morales. I don't mean to be disrespectful. 19-0, he's got my respect. I have some questions left with Ian Garry, not to mention he lost to Rakhmonov. I have questions with Rakhmonov, not to mention he's been out for a year and really hasn't done a great job of updating us, the public, on how he's doing and feeling and what he wants and when he wants to do it. So, I'm standing strong. I think that Garry looked awesome. I think Garry is awesome. But I've seen Garry look awesome, and I've known Garry is awesome prior to this fight. I do not believe he cuts the line in front of Kamaru Usman.